All right. Welcome to Here for the Horses. Glad you're here for the horses. Today's going to be fun. We are going to have guest speaker Sue Hawkins and Nancy Piper in the house. Sue's going to talk about, she's been on a Masterson Method journey, so that's been awesome, and we want to hear about it. So she's going to tell us some things that she's learned, some cool stuff that she's been observing, whatever information she wanted to share about that. And then Nancy's going to talk to us a little bit about a situation that arose that I think we have all sort of been in at one point in time. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And that's just with a situation in regards to a practitioner of some sort. Okay. So we'll talk about that and just get started. Let me start off here with I'm going to do two cute videos this time because they're very funny. So let's start with this one here. Can you guys see that? I just thought he's so cute. Gelding vibes. I thought they were gonna make that do a video and do a mare vibes next, but they didn't. He's cute. I think he needs a little work on that lateral flexion. His head looks a little crooked to me. I told you I'd ruin stuff for you guys, but he cute anyways. We accept him. We accept him. Okay. So that one was cute. And then this one I thought was funny. Poor thing. Stuck.
Let me help you, Mama.
She's stuck.
Let me help you, Mama.
Oh, poor thing. Look at her back, though. You can totally tell why she's stuck. Did you see that back? It was like a table.
And Ted, do you need help?
She's like a little potato,
Let
a
me
little
help you,
turtle.
Mama. Let me help you, Mama.
Watch her back when she stands up. Boy, that's flat. She's not getting up. So those are cute. Anyways, all right. So I'm gonna turn it over. Stop share. I'll turn it over to Nancy. You can kind of tell us a little bit about the situation that you had going on. I'm going to mute myself so I don't say anything.
Okay, my old horse chiropractor, shouldn't say old, but he retired. So I had to find and I'd had him for years and years. Really good. Worked with acupuncture points and he taught me a lot. So I had to find a new horse chiropractor. So I got one and went to see him, and he was a pure disappointment. He was big on carrot stretches. He would, I didn't ask him why, but he lifted up, this was on Kingston and Bunny, lift up their right front leg, and I did the carrot stretch on the left side. I mean, he was big on that. He didn't do it on the other side. I don't know why. And of course, I'm thinking, well, we don't do that. And then he showed me where Bunny and Kingston were tight in their neck, but he didn't do a thing about it. And my old chiropractor would do what Erin has showed us to do, of putting his fist in there, and bringing their head around. He didn't do that. He just showed me where it was. He told me that Raven's neck was like she was like a turtle. Her neck was down in her shoulders, but he didn't give me any recommendation. Didn't do anything about it. He on Kingston, he told me that his joints were stiff, and he's a veterinarian, but he works for a big pharmaceutical company. So he recommended some, medicine, which I just don't do very much of that. I do alternatives. And then he did do a belly lift on Kingston. Okay, I know how to do that. And it was just really disappointing. I won't use him again. I gotta go looking for another one. But I was bummed out when I thought, is that all he didn't really do anything chiropractically. And anyway, it was a big disappointment. Here comes another cat.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I wanted her to share, that just because I feel like we've all run into situations where we've tried someone and it just didn't match up with us. And a lot of times it's hard because there's not a lot to choose from in your area, maybe. And so you kind of got to deal with what you have available. But it's important that we find people that match up with our beliefs and kind of how we want to work. And especially if you're the type of person who asks a lot of questions, wants to do a lot of homework yourself, if you want to take the if you want to take certain steps to help your horse in between appointments, then you obviously want someone who's going to tell you and help you and show you, right? So, I found that with like everything I do with my horse, whether it's the farrier, the dentist, the vet, my trainer, I mean, I ask a ton of questions. Not only just so that I can have a better understanding, because I definitely want a better understanding, but how does this apply to other things? And then also, do you find this pops up in different areas? Okay, so the more you know about different modalities and stuff like that. Now, if you were paying attention to your chiro and they said, you know, the SI is sore, and then you go to have a massage therapist come out and she also says the SI is sore, and she says or he says that it's from possibly using a tie down or possibly using side reins, or the pull tension relates to the SI, or the SI is tight because the hamstrings are tight, then you have a much bigger picture that of understanding of your horse. So I think that that's just important. Um, and then also that we always have to be an advocate for our horse, and I've talked about this before. If you feel like whoever's working on your horse is not doing a good job, you got to try to find somebody else. And it's not easy. It is not easy. But we really have to be the ones that kind of stand up for our horses' care, because it is our responsibility. So yeah, that's pretty common, and I think we've all probably felt that before.
I do have a choice of two, well, it's probably three more chiropractors in the area, but how do I go? I invested money in this first one, and how am I going to find the right one? Except
Yeah.
for try them,
Yep.
get recommendations, but still, like you said, we have to find one that matches us and what we do and what we know and what we like.
Yeah, I mean, the most thing that you said to me that concerned me was that he told you there was a tight spot and then he didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
That's wild. Because
And he
normally
did.
they like to prove themselves. If I find a tight spot, number one, I want you to feel it. And then two, I'm going to fix it, and then I want you to feel it again.
Well, he had the tight spots were on their left, and yet he had me do the carrot stretch to the left, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. You know,
Mm-mm.
so I was not happy.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. We've all probably been there at some point in time. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Nancy, and I hope you got
Welcome.
better luck on your next Cairo.
Yep.
I mean, I've told you guys this before. One time, I'm I'm that way about massage therapists when I go to get a massage for me. And I've been to someone before where I have this one knot like on my left scapula that just kind of flares up and then goes away and flares up. And she was working on me and she felt the knot. I could feel her hands go over the knot. Then she went back over it. And then she went and she kind of like felt it. And then she ignored it and moved on. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I was so annoyed that she did not take care of that knot. And it's one thing to not have the skill to find it, but to find it, know that it's there, and then ignore it. I was just like, wow. So I actually ended up, I went out when I paid, the owner was like, how was your massage? And I was just like, mm. And she goes, what? And I go, I don't know, man. She found a knot and she didn't work it out, and I can't. And so she said, all right. That wasn't the first complaint that they had had about her. So she didn't have a long life there. Yeah. Carol says, I think the best bet is to go watch the practitioner work on someone else's horse. Well, hey, you could save some money that way. Before they invited to work on your horse, trusted people have also changed over time. Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point, Carol. Yeah, yeah, That's a great point. Yeah, if you can watch somebody else work on if you can watch them work on somebody else's horse, that's awesome. Just remember your horse is going to be different. So, like if I work on one horse, if your horse is like if I'm working on Georgia and then I go work on Chester, it's going to be a different massage. They're not the same horse. So just remember that. If you're working on a really extroverted horse, that massage is going to be very different from working on an introverted horse, or if you're working on one that's in pain, or if you're working on one that does not like certain like percussion or something. So it might look a little different, but you can definitely get a vibe from them.
The
All
vibe
right.
is important.
It
Then you
is.
know whether they're going to be punishing your horse for moving away or,
Yeah.
yeah. I've had some bad experiences.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
We talk about farriers and how they don't last very long sometimes. Sorry, Wanda, but you've got a good one. But there's been a couple that were invited to leave our place
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
come back. It is what
I
it is.
mean, vets
It's a-
too can get a little aggressive,
Yeah.
just with I don't know, it's a hard job, so I understand the frustration, especially when the animals are acting up, but man, you gotta have the tool belt. You gotta have the tool belt with you to figure it out.
Well, when they try to ear one of my mules down, they don't do that. I mean,
Yeah, Nancy brought her shotgun out for that one.
that's right. You do not ear my mules. They don't need
Yeah.
that.
No,
Ugh.
not at all.
No.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Nancy. Appreciate it. Sue Hawkins, I'm gonna let you take it away. Why don't you tell us what you've been doing, what you learned, what you liked?
Great. Well, I think it was Erin who introduced me to Masterson a couple years ago, at least. There was a weekend clinic in Stanwood, which is here in a couple hours north of us, which I wanted to take, but it conflicted with a trip I was taking. So I didn't take it. And then I just kind of forgot about it until about last December. And I went online and I found that there was going to be a clinic in Eastern Washington in April. So I signed up for that. And that clinic was called Light to Core. And the instructor is Nancy Vreeberg, which turns out to be what Jim says is his best instructor. She's been practicing Masterson for 15 years. And I didn't know that at the time. But I went to this clinic and it was on a fjord farm. And I had never been introduced to a fjord. And so that was fun. But I was within the first horse I worked on, I was just shocked at what I accomplished by what really felt like I wasn't doing anything, because the Masterson method is all about going soft. And then out of that experience, I decided to try to get into the Beyond the Horse clinic. There was going to be one in Canada in, let's see, the first course was in April. So there was a course in Canada in May, and they had a wait list. So I joined the wait list and I did get in and went up to Canada and had that course with a Canadian instructor. And that was a great course. And Lori Hope was just as great. And then before I went to that clinic, I decided I wanted to also go to the 5-day clinic, which was in California just last week. So I got on the wait list for that, and I eventually ended up getting that. And that was, again, a course by Sandy, the first instructor I had. So I've done 3 courses, 2 weekend and 1 5-day. And I don't know what you all know about Masterson, but I'll just give a little bit of overview on him. His career started, he would trailer show horses to shows, Colorado to Florida, the Midwest. And then he'd become a groom to those horses as well. And in his downtime, he would walk around and watch body workers on horses and ask questions and take notes. And over time, he saw what he liked that worked, and then he was working on horses and practicing, and he developed other techniques, and that eventually became the Masterson Method. At first, he was just teaching people for free because he's a really nice guy and he's very funny. but the people that he trained said, no, you can't, you can't give this knowledge away. You've got to create a curriculum, and to certify people and have people go out sharing your message, sharing your technique. So that's what he ended up doing. So now that I've done 3 clinics, what I do like about it, well, the difference between massage and Masterson is massage, you're working on the horse, and with Masterson Method, you're working with the horse. So you're doing these movements and watching the horse's reaction. And based on that reaction, you are then making a choice on what to do next. And you work, it's very different than massage. Sometimes in my head, I have a hard time wrapping my head around Masterson, having done massage so much. And I'm like, well, I should go here, I should do that. My big struggle at first was with pectorals, because the pectoral release is just not what I didn't think it would work, because having worked pectorals on the horse I was riding, and knowing how sore they always were, I'm like, this Masterson Method can't possibly release tension in that area. There's no way. But it did. It still confounds me how the process works. It surprises me every day that I practice it, that it works. So I've decided to get certified. It's about maybe 8 months to a year and a half process. It's a lot more hours of study. It's 420 hours of work, which includes working one-on-one with a coach. It includes taking an anatomy class. It includes doing these blocks that are different. You work on different horses and do different blocks, and then you have your coach basically grade the work you've done. It's a long process, but I don't have anything else to do, so why not? I thought I'd just give it a try and go forward, because I am enjoying it so much. One of the revelations I have always worked on, well, I'd say for the I've practiced massage on lesson barn horses for several years, a couple of years, at least 2 years. And a couple of them were very stoic, and horses are stoic. And I never knew if I was doing any good or not, because they just showed no reaction. So I took Masterson Method to one of those horses and was surprised at his response. He actually showed releases. He, like with regular massage, he kept wanting to smell my hands. He never did that before. He kept looking at me. I was doing things, and he had a complete turnover in his symptoms. He had a sore back from, he was used as a doubles lesson horse. So a bigger kid and a small kid on the horse. So his back end was pretty sore. And anyway, so that surprised me that he finally actually, because I know the horse, I've known the horse for a long time, I actually would help. When I wasn't practicing massage, I was volunteering in cleaning stalls, and I was tacking up these horses for lessons if nobody was around. So the next horse I worked on was in the same program, was this stoic mare who, she's a great lesson horse. This horse, she won't give her riders anything until the riders prove to her that they know what they're doing. So again, working her with massage, she's just like, you can leave now. And it was very disappointing always working on her. And I wanted to work on her really badly, because in massage, because she works so hard, and I just wanted to find some relief for her. Anyway, so I went in and did Masterson on her, and was shocked again at her response. The amount of releases she had. Now, all of that could be coincidental too, because the one pony was in bad shape. And I don't know what this paint had been through recently. I'm always going in and I'm always looking for horses to work on, and I don't ask any questions. I just say, who can I work on today? And nobody ever says, oh, can you come see my horse that has X, Y, or Z? I just work on a horse. And then I find out after the fact, usually what was being going on. So anyway, I worked on this other horse, this paint, and she's just shocked me with her, surprised me. And now both of those horses, when they see me, they come towards me. And they never did that before. They're lesson horses. You know, they have a job to do. They're not really interested in seeing anybody after the end of their day. But now that those two just kind of approach me like, hey, are you coming to see me? It's kind of surprising. What else can I tell you about that? So anyway, the process is you don't use much. It starts with the bladder meridian. You find the areas of discomfort on the bladder meridian. You do the bladder meridian both sides. Jim says you should do the bladder meridian. It should take 17 to 20 minutes on each side. That's a long time. And it's like watching paint dry, and it can be very painful. But it's important to get that process down and get it right and make sure that you're watching the horse as you do that and looking for reactions. And then from there, you just go through the prescribed techniques using, the head of the horse, the neck and shoulder region, and then the back end, pretty much the same. And doing a series of different moves. There's only one at this point, there's only one massage move, and that's the pole. And then the rest of it is just based on touch with one finger, usually, or sometimes you're using one finger on one hand and another hand in another area. So you're touching them in two different locations at the same time, but very lightly, like the pressure is, we barely are touching them, maybe just a slight, like letting them know that you're there. And again, like the fjord I was working on, I couldn't touch that horse at all. I had to have my hand 5 inches off the horse because touch was too much for him. But I did a whole cervical flexion with him without ever touching his neck on both sides, because he couldn't take it. He could not handle touch. So it's, again, you're watching the horse and looking for reaction, and then basing your moves based on what that horse is telling you. Is that too much pressure? Is that, are you in the right place? If you're not seeing any tension in that spot, you're going somewhere else. And Jim says don't get get your head too much into it, because he says you don't have to worry so much about having your finger or your hand on the right place, because it's going to be in that general area. So for example, his big thing is you don't work with a horse that braces. If a horse is bracing, you immediately stop and you lighten. You go even lighter. It sounds like you would go harder, but you go lighter. So let's say you're doing neck flexion and the horse is sticky and is not turning and he's tightened up. You stop and you go back and you go down one more vertebra and see if it works there. So you're going back and forth. And as you're doing the neck flexion and you're stuck, and I give that one because that's a pretty common example of area that gets sticky, then maybe you shift and go down and work the legs and then come back up to the neck again. And it's a lot like massage, where you can't get through something because the horse isn't ready for it. So you just come back to it at some point and hopefully remember where you left off. So I've got to work in this 5-day clinic. I got to work on some interesting horses. Again, we're going to a different barn every day and having 2 horses to work on. And one of the days I was given a paint who had a best buddy, and the best buddy had to be with the paint in the same area, and that was fine with me. And the best buddy was also partially blind. So there was no way I could touch this paint's head. It just reacted terribly. So went down and did the legs. And meanwhile, the buddy horse isn't releasing tension, which was hilarious. She's got a mask on and she's blind and she's releasing tension. And I'm like surprised. I'm always surprised when you're massaging a horse and the horse across the stall is releasing tension. So I worked on this horse the best of my ability. It was a really, really difficult one. And afterwards found out from the owner that 4 years ago, that horse had reared up, fell over and fell on the back of his head. And that's why his, when I first tried to touch the upper part of his neck, it felt like concrete. It didn't move at all. And I kept thinking, God, that's either the tightest pull I've ever felt or there's something really wrong here. So that's what had happened. So the horse had that trauma. And then a year ago, a tree fell on that same horse. So this horse has had a lot of trauma. The horse isn't ridden anymore. It's become a therapy horse for a young girl. And all she does is put a halter on and walk in the pasture on a lead rope, with the partially blind mare following along, which is pretty nice life. But anyway, again, you find, I think having a difficult horse is no matter what, if it's a massage or Masterson or whatever, having a really difficult horse is a great learning experience. You continue to replay things in your mind about why is that way, or what can I do if I come back and see this horse again? What can I do differently? How can I approach this horse differently? And it's just been very eye-opening and a pretty amazing experience. Does anybody have any questions?
Did you notice a lot of overlap with, you said there was overlap with, the pole, because that was massage, right?
That's the only overlap. So far, everything else has been very different. So again, sometimes because I'm an old person and I don't learn as quickly as I used to, I have to really think about, like, if I'm going to go work on the legs, okay, I don't do leg rotation the same way. I have to do it this other way. So far, that's all I've found. Now, I don't know, maybe I've learned 75 techniques of Masterson.
That's
So
a lot.
it's a lot, but it's certainly not everything. So there could be more coming up that have overlap. And then I just haven't been exposed to them yet.
Very cool. What's your favorite move so far? And why?
I think it's the tail points, because you see every horse I've done that on, you immediately see relaxation. You see eyes closed.
Under the tail points?
Yep.
The 3
Yep.
points?
Yep. And
Really? That's your
yes.
favorite move?
Well,
Tell me about it.
only because you get to see that immediately relaxation. So if I've got, like, okay, I'm working like on experimenting on Des, you know how wild Des is.
Oh yeah.
So you can't start with his head. There's no way. So if I go to those tail points, he'll drop his head and relax immediately. And I'll just, continue work finding areas that are easy to work on him so that I can eventually get to his head. So that's what I enjoy about that. Now, that probably works the same with him with massage too, is you go directly to his back end and
I
start
did the
there.
last time I worked on him, yeah.
Yeah, he's a handful.
I know.
He's a case study.
In so many different ways.
Well, he's just like his owner. I tell her that all the time. So you don't have to keep that a secret from her. I'm like, this horse is just like you. So anyway, yeah, if I'm having struggle getting a horse to calm down, that's immediately where I go, because it works every single time.
That's cool. I also like that move for when horses have gas colic,
Uh-huh.
because that gets them farting.
Yes, it
So
does.
that one's really important. That's one of the ones that I talk to people about if the horse is colicking.
Mm-hmm.
Masterson method.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how it works and how it all goes together. And he's got a lot of great. You can get his online books or videos and see more about what he does, and they're very thorough. You can learn a
Yeah.
lot by not even attending a clinic, just by going to his website and researching what's there. And it's all
Yeah.
very, very, it's easy to follow. It's extremely easy to follow, and he's a great instructor, and it's all him doing the work.
Because his original book, I believe, was called Beyond Massage,
Yes.
right? Is that still the one that he's referencing when he's teaching, or does he have a different book?
I think Beyond the Horse now, he's revised it.
Oh, okay.
So some of the techniques, like he even says in some of his videos, he goes, well, this used to be called blah, 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 and I revised it, and now it's got this name, but it used to be, something different. So he's continually changing things
Yeah.
and updating and changing the teaching style too. So, and the classes are small. If anybody ever decides to go to a class, they're like 8 or 9 students and 3 instructors. So you get a lot of oversight.
Your Palm Gear device is now paired. Enjoy.
You get
Yeah, I think. Oh, go
a
ahead.
lot of
Sorry.
instructor help if you need it. It's there available ready at the moment, which is great because one instructor for 9 people wouldn't be enough to get around to every student because you're at a barn, so you're each in a different area spread out over the sides of the property, which last week we had huge distances between us at one barn, and we were all in one huge round pen at another barn. We at a third barn, it was on a hill, so some people were way up the hill installs. So having 3 instructors roam around really provided a lot of help. Because the last thing that anybody wanted to do was to take the halter off the horse, leave the horse, and go find somebody to get some assistance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, back in the day when I took my course, I think there were 10 to 12 of us, and there was one instructor, so that's an improvement.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I should back that up. It's not 3 instructors. It's 1 instructor and 2 certified
Sure.
Masterson. So, and they're all been very good, and they all know
Yeah.
their work, and they're all fun. So they make it all very comfortable and easy. And I would say the 5-day class was the best one, and I think that's only because a lot of us, the 7 of us or so in the class, got to know each other because we spent 5 days with each other, and 3 of us were at the same hotel. So we commuted together every day to these different barns. Some of them were pretty far away, so we got to know each other pretty well. Made it even better.
Yeah, so it sounds wild that you had a couple horses that you couldn't touch at all.
Yeah.
I mean, how'd they put that notice out? Like, hey, got a horse that nobody can touch? We have something for you. Masterson Method's coming to town. Can we borrow your horse? How did that?
Well,
How did that?
that first farm with the fjords, she's a certified instructor, and she
Oh, okay.
raises fjords. So nobody knew that you couldn't touch his name is Manfred. Nobody knew you couldn't touch him on that particular day. And because I knew touching wasn't working, he kept shaking his head and throwing his head. I just backed off because that's what we were told. And, I got within an inch off of him. He's still reacting. Then I went to 2 inches, 3. And I finally ended up at 5 inches. He stopped overreacting and he calmed down immediately. So when you notice that immediate change, you've hit the right spot.
Okay, so obviously then if she's an instructor, then she knew that about him. And
No,
that
she didn't. She didn't know that horse.
really?
No.
So now I'm curious, like, does that go away or does he just suffer with that all the time?
I don't know, Des is a horse I'm going to try to figure that out when
Yeah,
because he does that every single time. So I have to also keep my hand off of his head, his neck, and work with him. And maybe one day I will be able to touch him and I'll let you know.
yeah,
I worked on him a second time and I didn't have to tie him up, which was amazing. Because he's all over the place. And he's
yeah,
big and he's got his stall's pretty small for the size of him. And I have to protect myself with him. And so I'm just, I told Jesse he's a work in progress for me. I want to see if I can get to a point where he can handle touch in his neck and head.
yeah. That's awesome. All right, what you got, Nancy?
I had a lady come out to work on my horses. She did craniosacral work, among other things, and she could not touch Raven at first. And she'd have to work on her from a distance. And about the third time she came out, then Raven finally let her touch her. But sometimes it's the vibe from the person. I mean, I could walk up to Raven, the barn help could walk up to Raven, but she couldn't touch her.
Yeah,
And she had to work,
especially a horse like Raven. I can totally see that.
yeah, she had to work from a distance with her.
Yeah, it's like small kids too. They like some people and they don't like others.
Yeah,
And you have to, back off and give them space.
yeah, that's really interesting. Any other questions for Sue? Unfortunately for you guys, she's not that close to you, but she's pretty close to me.
Yes, I told you.
Georgia, Chester, guess what?
Happy to work on them.
I love that.
I'm always looking for other horses. I feel like, I don't know. It's like, can I touch your horse? Walk up.
Yeah,
So, can I work on your horse? And they look at me
absolutely.
and they're like, well, who are you?
Yeah,
Um,
don't worry about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
cool. I
need a
like
lot
that
of
a lot.
horses. I'm lucky compared to all the other students. Of course, I'm the oldest one in all the classes I've been in, and I'm retired, which makes a huge difference. Um, I get the luxury of I've been working on, I think since the end of April, I've worked on 40 or 50 different horses because I go around to different barns. And a lot of people don't have the luxury to do that because they work and they have families and they just can't give the time. But I think it's been an important part of my education, even when I was doing massage, to work on as many different horses as possible. It's
100%.
very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't massage the same horses and learn more after a period of time. You can always
Right.
learn a lot, but the more different horses you work on, they all have different issues, just like people's
Yeah.
bodies. So
Yep.
it's
You find different things and you learn more about that particular, what's going to help that particular problem, because you have to think about the anatomy and the muscles and what's another move I can do on this area that will free this up. But like like you say, if you're just working on your own horse, you kind of, that puzzle's
Yeah.
been solved basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sue. Appreciate it. I can't wait to watch you do some more. That's going to be super fun. I'm glad you're getting certified. That's going to be
Well,
amazing.
it's, don't hold your breath. It's going to take a while.
I'm going to. You better hurry up too, because I can't hold my breath that long. No, we're all here for you. We're excited. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on the journey.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we have a bit of time left, so how about we go over a couple videos from this week. So we did the spine wiggle. Okay, and that was really cool to watch. I feel like Cinder would be a really cool one for Masterson Method because he's got a lot going on in his brain, and I feel like that like really taking away any stimulus, like the massage stimulus might be super interesting with him. So I thought about him because the spine wiggle is one of Masterson's moves. Did he go over that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Does he teach it differently?
Yes. Yes.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And
I wanna-
he's added to it as well. So
Okay,
it
cool.
it's become two moves, two separate
Okay,
moves. But
right on.
where is Cinder? I'm driving to Minnesota in the fall, if anybody's on my route.
I'm in Cheyenne, Wyoming, if you're coming on 80.
Oh, that's a possibility.
Okay.
We'll keep that in mind.
We got some Minnesotas here. Yeah, that'll be awesome. I'll put out a flyer for you, Sue.
My
Don't think I
brother will.
won't.
I've got
I'll
my
be like,
brother to
look
be
at this
assistant.
map, you guys. If you're within 500 miles, we're sending Sue to you. All right, let's take a look at some of these cool videos. Let's see here. So yeah, I found it pretty interesting. Coaching community. So for those of you that don't know, this is the coaching community page. If you have purchased my online clinic, you get access to this private coaching page. This is where all the good stuff happens. This is all the good stuff. Okay, so we had Kingston's spine wiggle. That was pretty good. We had similar suggestions for these. So this here is an example of a horse that's he's nervous about it. So just touching the tail, he was moving around a lot. So when Nancy did the tail work, he was nervous about it too. Okay. So look at him. He's just having a hard time. Look at him. Looked at you. There's the look, you guys. Isn't that cool? So it was a little bit too much in the beginning when she started. So watch that again real quick. So look at it, he's releasing. So just touching the tail makes him nervous because he had a lot of tension in that tail when she did the tail stuff. Okay. So that translated. But he had a lot of improvement in the tail also. And then that was a little bit, little too much movement. Okay. Mystic Knight, this one was interesting. So we all know Mystic Knight. She's funny. I find her interesting because I think she is really smart, and what she does is she goes, I'm not paying attention. I'm not paying attention. I'm not paying attention. Okay. So, and it works pretty good for her. So we kind of have to play around a little bit with backing off of her and slowing it down for her. And I would definitely try some Masterson method on her. It'd be interesting to see when you could get her in the zone. Okay. So we had similar suggestions for that. Oh, here's Raven. That was cool. I haven't seen Raven in so long, I missed her. Okay, but let's watch this one, okay? Because this was a cool, oh, this is Ellie. Ellie and Adobe this week were really cool to watch because you could see when it got good, okay? Now, one of the things, and I've told you guys about this with the spine wiggle, is that it's the rhythm. You got to get the rhythm right, and it's hard. It's hard for a couple reasons. Your position on the tail needs to be good. You need to be moving it just the right distance. Like you can't move it not enough, and you can't move it too much, and then you can't move it too slow, and you can't move it too fast. Okay, so there's a lot of different things that are a factor here. So let's watch this one.
I need to get a slow song in my head.
Oh yeah.
Great idea.
And I talked about this last time. We need a song, you guys. We need a song that we can play to this that helps people with the rhythm. I got to find one. I keep forgetting. Okay, here we go.
You know what? I always think of that Michael Bublé one. Sway with me. I don't know if that's slow though. We'll have to come up with a song, Leanne. We should come up with a song, and then every year from now on, when we do this one, we'll play the song and
Oh,
go,
Leanne,
do
put it right
to
here.
this song. We'll have 3 different songs, one for slow, medium, and fast.
Yeah.
Depending on the horse.
Okay, so
You have
what?
to try all 3 and see which one works best. Coming up with a whole bunch of crazy ideas.
So you guys can see how it's really disjointed here, right? Like it's not.
There you
slaying.
go. Yep, that's better.
Okay, watch.
Yep. That was a good one. Oh, there you go. Look, look, look. You can see it. You can see it going up her neck. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, look at it. You can see when you get off rhythm with her, but you had like these moments where you saw it go snake right up her neck. That was cool. There it is again. See it? See it? Do you see it? Watch for the rhythm. There, beautiful. That's cool. I've never seen a view like that before. That was fun. And then you lost rhythm right there. There, nice. Lost it. Oh, you're getting it back. Good, that was cool. I like that a lot. It's funny, I was gonna talk to a musician. Here, let's watch this one. There,
There it
yes, do you
is.
see it?
There
Going
it
up
is.
the body? Yes. That's your best one, Leanne, by far. She looks a little crooked coming up out of the neck from this angle, though. That is your best one by far. Do you see it? That's super cool. That's really good. Yeah, good job. That was cool.
Okay, so that was Ellie. Okay. So you can see really clearly when it's not in rhythm because it's just like it's like this. But when she would get her, you could kind of see it going all the way up to her ears. Okay. And then Adobe, Buckaroo's an interesting one because he's a thick boy. I call him a thick boy. He's young, but he's thick and he's compact. So there's not a ton of he's not really loose. Like certain horses really loose and certain horses are really compact. So you can see how compact he is, right? Look at how he barely moves. Uh, so with him, you would have to slow down, use more force to get him going, and then it would become easier. Okay. So it's going to be a little harder on him. And then this one was really cool. Oh no, this was the leg, the alternative leg thing that I showed. Uh-oh, where's the other one? Oh yeah, Cinder. This one was cool. Is it stalling out?
Does it, but he seems to like the speed and the rhythm of it. Sweet. It definitely does not need to always be like that. This doesn't surprise me. I think he's better with that
Oh
quiet.
yeah, he had a ton of release.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that his head went down like that.
He
Wow.
was interesting because his hips rocked
His
from
back has a lot.
side to side too, like this. So normally it's this,
Got a lot of
but
sway.
he also had this going, which was, you could see it really well with him.
Tell him to stop getting scratched up though. Hate to see that on those beautiful roans. Good boy. Wow. Good. Him release a ton before though, haven't we? I can't remember what body part it was on, but I remember him going hog wild on something.
Do you see those hips moving?
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Here, okay. You want this side again?
He was gonna release there and then he stopped.
Still weird. It's still funny.
That was funny. That was huge. That was a huge deal for him. Wanda, do you remember? I remember him releasing a ton on something else. Do you remember what that was?
I think with him, it's usually, it was probably something in the top of the hip.
Okay.
You know, he's really quite muscular and, yeah, I think it must have been in the top of the hip. He doesn't, you know, I release him in the mouth just to kind of, if he's not really paying attention, I release him in the mouth to kind of center him. And this horse loves to be groomed, loves to be rubbed. So he's all in on this massage stuff. But it had been a long time since I'd seen him, like you said, drop his head almost to his knees
Yeah.
and that real full yawn in the mouth. And like I said at the beginning of that, you know, we've been messing with it all week. So I have an extra horse in the barn and she's just out of view. And we had to euthanize my old mare. And I was gone
Mama.
for multiple days. Yeah,
Hmm.
lucky. And so we've had all this change, but doing this tail wiggle on him this week, he has just every day he's been like that. And I've messed with this probably for 10 minutes before I finally clicked on the camera. And he just kept having those really big releases. So I just thought it was interesting for him because like he's pretty tightly wound.
Yeah.
But he loved this. So
Right on. It's so cool. It'd be cool to see the back view from him too, like up higher till you could see the whole spine, because I bet he was really wiggling a lot also.
I think this extra horse we have goes away next week. So and I can hang that camera anywhere. So yeah, I'd like to revisit it. The gray horse was a lot this way too. He had more of he wanted to back into it um more than Cinder, but yeah, I'll shoot those again after we're kind of back to normal here.
Yeah, cool. That'd be fun. All right, let's watch Adobe. So same deal here with Adobe. That you could see it going up his whole body. It's so cool. And then you can see when the rhythm goes off, right? And then you can see it come back again. There's a release. There it is. Look at it. Isn't that cool? You can see it going all the way up his whole body. Look at him. Yeah, he had a great reaction to that. So that was really fun. Um, oh, this was a huge improvement too. I don't know if you guys saw Dewey's range of motion improvement. It was beautiful. Very excited for him. Very excited. Okay. Well, actually, real quick before we end, I want to show what Leanne did with this one here. Okay, so Adobe he sometimes when you go to pick up a horse's hind legs, they're like really heavy. Okay. Especially if they're a big horse, their legs get really heavy. I think Kingston also legs get really heavy. So what I do is I get into a sumo stance and I'll grab the leg and I just bring it all the way up. And generally that helps me. But what I suggested for Leanne, and not only is his leg heavy, but he's got big fetlocks. So just holding on to his fetlock with one hand is very difficult. So this was an alternative that I gave her to do the hind leg range of motion forward, the assessment, using a rope. Okay. So let's watch this because big improvement. And I'm not going to go back and show the first time, but I think the first time she barely got it like up here. And I was looking at it and I kind of was like, I'm pretty sure he can go further. So let's watch this real quick. This is the alternative method. And generally I want to make sure I don't teach this one a lot because there's a couple things I'm concerned about. One, I don't want people pulling that leg too far with the rope. And you have to give the leg back if they are struggling. Okay, so I knew Leanne had that sort of finesse. Look at how good this is though. And she added a little jiggle there. Now, did you see that she added the jiggle and he was like about to take it back? Pretty interesting. Okay, good. And see, she gave it back. So that's why I don't really teach this unless I trust the person, because I need to know that they will give that leg back because we don't need to cause any problems. So she just looped it around the hind leg there, brought it forward. Went to the areas that she could tell it was tight. Another word of caution is when you're doing it like this with a lead rope. Oh, I'm saying it right here. Watch out for that snap. It can come up and knock you in the hand. It does not feel good. There you go. Okay, good. She's waiting on him. Oh, look at that, you guys. Look at that. Look how good that is. That's good. That's really good. Okay, so he went there, boom. She had perfect timing. She was ready to give it back to him if she needed to. This is a beautiful stretch on this hind leg all the way up. And he didn't have a hard time doing it. But the first video, let me just look real quick, see if I can find it. She didn't even come close to, oh, I can't. She didn't even come close to getting that far. So that's an alternative that I let people.
On that the first time I did it, I think, I don't remember which side it was. I couldn't even lift his foot. So I didn't even do
Yeah.
anything because I mean, I
Mhm.
was even using both hands. I could not lift it. So this was so much easier for me strength wise. Yeah, this is it.
Leanne and Adobe here.
Yeah, so let's take a look and see how far. Yeah, that's as far as she got it. This is the same leg, you guys. So that's as far as she could bring it forward doing it this way. It was so heavy for her to try to do that. See? Do you see the difference? So pretty big deal. And he wasn't getting a lot out of that, right? We can all kind of tell that. So that's why I was like, bring out the ropes. He's not getting away with it. We're not gonna have it. Okay. So it was pretty cool. And when she did this last one, I mean, you all saw his foot. It was like, it was in front of the lowest part of his belly. So it was here. So it just gives you information and tells you that he's not restricted range of motion wise, but he is heavy. Yes, Nancy. Yep, definitely. Just make sure you don't get into a tug of war with him. Give it back if you need to. I already know you have the feel for it. Okay. Any questions when we finish up here? All right.
Homework?
No
Homework?
homework this week. I might be kicking out some videos for you guys, and we'll figure out what to do. I'm working on the webinar this week. And then also, we have a couple cool things coming up. I know that I put out a post for those of you that are small business equine people. I need some guinea pigs to run some ideas off of. So if you're running some form of equine business, whether it's massage, PEMF, Masterson Method, braiding, clipping, training, whatever it is, I'm going to be starting a coaching program to help people build a business. It's going to have multiple parts. Build a business locally, in person, built on integrity. I'm going to help people build an online business and do marketing, and then I'll also help people with clinics. Okay, so that's the plan. So I'm just meeting with people who want to do that, and I'm going to ask a bunch of questions and get some ideas, have an outline, and then I'll kick something out at some point in time. Okay, that's all I got for you. If you have any questions, shoot them to me this week. I'll probably be posting some videos. I have a video actually that I have to kick out to you guys, so you can take a look at that. All right. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. What's up, Nancy? Oh, nothing. Okay. Bye.